Hello and welcome to the Joy of Awareness. My name is Tolly Bryn. Today I'm going to talk about mainstream health dogma versus direct experience and why it matters. So, a big part of my own journey in regaining my health, overcoming topical steroid withdrawal and many other autoimmune diseases that I was dealing with, I started to develop a very healthy, in my view, mistrust of mainstream health advice and of the medical industry in general. And something that followed from that mistrust, I think quite naturally, was a much larger reliance on direct experience. So, as you may know, if you've been following my videos, I regained my health in the most simple way possible. Basically, I stopped eating, and when I did eat, I ate incredibly simply, and yeah, that's basically it. Apart from that, I went out in nature quite a lot and tried to withdraw myself quite a bit from using electronics. Started to just try to spend more time in meat space, if you will. Trying to meet more people, trying to just get some fresh air and exercise and stuff like that. All of that's good stuff, but the main principle in how I regained my health was fasting and an incredibly austere and simple diet. And I had read quite a bit about these ideas, like not exactly in the way that I'm talking about them, but fasting, there's so much research and anecdotes on fasting out there. You'll be in no trouble to find information on that, and the same with a simple diet, like the elimination diet, for example, is very well known and very effective in helping people overcome, especially like autoimmune diseases and digestive issues and allergies and stuff like that. So all the information was out there, but that just wasn't enough. Like, I'd been reading about this stuff for many years. I just didn't fully buy into it. It wasn't until I started actually doing it and putting it into practice that I started to realize that, this is truth. This simplicity is king. Simplicity is what will get you out of whatever pit you're in right now and back out into the open air. So that's really where this idea of following direct experience, of the empirical approach to health, kind of developed within me. I'd grown up and sort of been indoctrinated throughout my entire life with mainstream health advice. I'd been going to my doctor whenever something came up, if I got a cold or the flu or whatever, and I'd get whatever shots or pills or creams that I thought that I needed and that my doctor told me that I needed. In between, I'd be reading articles on, the latest research on, does chocolate reduce risk of cardiac arrest or stuff like that. The research that I'm talking about, where every few months it goes back and forth, like, oh, is red wine healthy for you? Or, how much vitamin C do you need? Or macros and micros and, hormone balance and imbalance and all this stuff. And, I guess there's some good to be said about this reductionism in medical science. There are things in there that are and seem to be quite helpful, like when it was discovered that the main cause of scurvy was vitamin C deficiency, for instance. After you make that realization, it's quite easy to treat the symptoms of scurvy by just keeping what they do, like keeping fresh lime in barrels on sea voyages and stuff like that. So you can attack the symptoms very specifically through this type of reductionism. But at the same time, there is this danger that we fall into the trap of separating everything into tiny molecules and not seeing the forest for the trees. And this is, I believe, what kept me in a state of bad health for the longest time. Like, if I had realized at some point that I needed to start approaching my health holistically, not, in compartments the way I had been doing. Starting to see that everything that I did had an effect on my health. Like, mind and body are not separate at all, and what affects my body in a bad way will affect my mind as well, and the same is true in reverse as well. Although, I might argue that, okay, well, no, I'm not exactly sure, but arguably a healthy body is more vital to a healthy mind rather than the reverse. I at least in my own experience, I've found that it's way easier for me to cultivate a healthy mind when my body is healthy than it is to try to go the other way. During my illness, I started to get very spiritual, started meditating a lot. I started doing like psychedelics and all kinds of things, and reading and doing positive affirmations and just trying to improve my thought processes. And those are all great things. They did a lot to help me to get to the place where I am today. And I do think that's it's very, very important to focus on those aspects of health. But for the life of me, I couldn't seem to improve my physical health through my mind, even though like that is something I truly believed that was possible. Like I was repeating affirmations like, I am very healthy, I'm getting healthier every day, my skin is no longer inflamed, and stuff like that. And it just didn't help, unfortunately, like as much as I wish it had. And maybe if I had developed my samadhi or whatever to the sufficient point that my thought would be able to penetrate into the physical body, it would have worked. Who knows? But the way simpler solution for me was to start fasting, start really, really taking responsibility for my own health. And that was all achieved through cutting myself off from mainstream health advice completely. After I had spent enough energy and time on reading and researching about time-tested traditional approaches to health, which, fasting and a simple diet definitely fall into those categories. After I'd researched enough and just found myself to be like, okay, yeah, I think I know enough about what I'm going into here that I'll be okay. After that, I basically stopped researching health for a while and started actually practicing what I had learned. So I did a lot of journaling. I put down my ideas into words on a piece of paper. And during my fasts, I would continue writing what I was going through, what I felt was working, what I felt was not working. I even got very meta into it, like where while breaking a fast, I would get, for instance, cravings for all kinds of foods. And I would really try to break down, is this actually something that my body is craving for nourishment, or is it an addiction that I'm still dealing with? Although after the 10-day fast, interestingly enough, it felt as though all of my dietary addictions had been almost completely erased. Like I remember the first few days of the 10-day fast, I was craving sugar like crazy. Like I wanted those like Haribo jelly sweets and chocolate and cake and like all kinds of stuff. Then after like the 3 or 4 day mark, that pretty much dissipated, and even further into the fast, the feeling of actual craving for food basically disappeared. Although, every now and then I was like, oh man, I'd love to eat something. And I was excited to just have a bit more energy to go out and exercise, and I wanted to put on some more muscle again and stuff like that. And I was definitely getting very... That's what happens when you do a long fast. Like, you start to get very skinny and you start to get very calm mentally, but also weak physically. And it's not a physical state that I particularly enjoy. Like I like feeling like I'm strong, like I'm healthy and vibrant. That's just part of feeling very healthy for me. But I knew at the time that, and well, I say knew, I didn't really know, but I felt, I intuited at the time that this was exactly what I needed to do in order to regain my health. I needed to reset, and that seems to be exactly what happened. So, where does this all fit into like dietary dogma and direct experience? Well, as I said before, I cut out dietary dogma and went straight into direct experience as soon as I had set myself a clear plan on what I was doing. And I think that was incredibly important. Like you need to research health for yourself. You need to cut out the middleman, your doctor or the health guru on YouTube or whoever it is, and you need to research it for yourself. Like it's a bit complicated though, because you need to be able to discern between the ideas that are baloney and are there to try to sell you something or are backed by the pharmaceutical industry or whatever, to discern those ideas from the ideas that are time tested and that are traditional principles of health. And I think the main way to discover which is true and which is not is to apply Occam's razor. And in this case, fasting and dietary simplicity are, obviously the simplest solutions to anything. The more complex you go, like if it's some kind of invisible molecule that you can't even see unless under a microscope, and that you need a PhD in medical science in order to understand what it does, like you're probably on the wrong track, really, because your body is infinitely more intelligent health-wise than you can ever be, consciously. So as soon as you start directing this energy that you're spending on learning about all these different molecules and different hormonal imbalances and vitamins and minerals and micros and macros and all the stuff, as soon as you start directing that energy into to providing space and time for your body to heal itself, I think you'll start having a way better time and a way, way better projection into health. So I think I'll end this video here. I think I got my point across quite well. If you have any questions about this approach, feel free to comment, send me a message or whatever, and I'll be happy to make more videos going deeper into the process and deeper into my ideas and insights that I've gained from healing myself. But for now, if you enjoyed it, just subscribe, like, share the video, and comment down below if you want to know some more. So stay healthy, man. Stay healthy, women as well. All of you, everybody watching. Peace.